Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 2. Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated, this Bhagavat Purana propounds the highest truth, which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart. The highest truth is reality, distinguished from illusion, for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity, is sufficient in itself for God realization. What is the need of any other scripture? As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, by this culture of knowledge, the Supreme Lord is established within the heart. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Prabhupada talks about eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating, and how they're common to both humans and animals. But religion is the extra function of the human being. Human life begins when religion begins. Without religion, human life is no better than animal life. A human society is one where self-realization and relationship with God is prominent. In the lowest stages of human civilization, there is a continuous rivalry to satisfy the senses. Driven by such consciousness, people sometimes turn to religion for material gain. Then when material gains can be obtained in other ways, religion is neglected. Nowadays people are thriving economically, and so they are not very interested in religion. Churches and mosques are practically vacant. People are more interested in shops and cinemas. Economic gains are needed for sense gratification. Sense gratification is the basis of material life. There are three paths of sense gratification. Number 1, fruitive activities to gain promotion to better planets. Number 2, worshipping different demigods for promotion to their planets. Number 3, realizing the absolute truth in his impersonal feature and becoming one with him. Srimad Bhagavatam is a purely transcendental literature. The devotees of the Lord are above such competitions because they are on the path back home, back to Godhead, where life is eternal and blissful. They try to establish a competitionless society with God in the center. Now, the truth, the highest truth, is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. And such truth uproots the threefold miseries. And these threefold miseries are those miseries which arise from the mind and body, and then there's the miseries inflicted by other living beings, and lastly, the miseries arising from natural catastrophes over which one has no control. So freedom from these three miseries comes when one develops transcendental consciousness and understands the conception of simultaneously one and different. We are one with the Absolute, but at the same time, we're eternally a servant of the Absolute. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with the surrender of the devotee unto the Absolute Person. When we understand that we are transcendental and that we are the Lord's eternal servant, we are free from miseries. Service to the Lord is rendered in pure consciousness of one's spiritual identity. By service, one is immediately freed from material encumbrances. As long as a living entity is trying to master material nature, there is no possibility of his becoming servant of the Supreme. Srimad Bhagavatam is a personal commentation on the Vedanta Sutra by Sri Vyasadeva. It was written in the maturity of his spiritual life through the mercy of Narada. And Sri Vyasadeva is the authorized incarnation of Narayana, and he recommends us to read Srimad Bhagavatam above all other scriptures, and he is the author of all Vedic literatures. Krishna is the total body, and the demigods are different parts of that body. Lord Chaitanya has also recommended that we read Srimad Bhagavatam. He says it's the spotless Purana. So there's a word, a Sanskrit word in this verse, which is shushrushu, and that means we must sincerely desire to hear the transcendental message of Bhagavatam, or we must be anxious to hear this message. And the proper attitude is being submissive when hearing. The transcendental message. Some people, less fortunate people, are not interested in hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. They're more interested to talk about the political and social aspects of the world. They have so much time to talk about those things, but no time to listen to Bhagavatam. So they're less fortunate. After many pious deeds, one becomes qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. The process is simple, but the application is difficult. Sometimes professional readers of the Bhagavatam plunge into the confidential topics of the Supreme Lord, interpreting it as sex literature. But it is meant to be heard from the beginning. We can realize the Supreme Personality directly by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Srila Vyasadeva assures us this. We can realize the Supreme Personality directly by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Simply by agreeing to receive this message, one can be lifted immediately to the position of Paramahamsa.